Hi guys, in this video we are going to think about how self-help schemes can help improve life in Dharavi. So by the end of this video you will be able to describe and explain how self-help schemes improve Dharavi, and you will be able to use this knowledge to suggest improvements for a slum. So our skills are analysing, describing and explaining. So a quick reminder, there are lots of different problems in Dharavi. There's lots of diseases because people have to share public toilets, there are open sewers and there's restricted access to clean water. Housing is cramped and unsafe. There's lots of rubbish around, which again makes sanitation poor, and there are loads of polluting industries. So last lesson, or the last video, we looked at the Dharavi redevelopment project, which wants to knock down part of the slum of Dharavi and rebuild it with new housing and businesses. But we saw that there are lots of negatives to this. I mean, the biggest one being that this project hasn't started yet, and it was proposed, first of all, in 2004. So it doesn't look like it's coming along anytime soon. So we are going to focus on resident-led improvements, self-help schemes. So a self-help scheme is a small-scale project which allows local people to use their skills to improve their homes and the local area. So as activity 1, I would like you to pause this video, make sure you got the title self-help schemes, and I would like you to make a note of what a self-help scheme is. So copy this sentence. Okay, hopefully you've copied down what a self-help scheme. So who helps with self-help schemes in Dharavi? One of the groups that help with self-help schemes in Dharavi are NGOs. These are non-governmental organisations. They are non-profit voluntary organisations who do humanitarian work and raise people's concerns with governments. So they talk to governments for people who aren't listened to or don't really have a voice. They stick up or advocate for people who need help. For example, the residents of Dharavi who are trying to improve their homes and their area and don't want the Dharavi redevelopment project to happen. So in Dharavi, the Society for the Promotion of Area Resource Centres, or SPARC, helps to improve housing. Now, improving housing is expensive. You have to buy all the materials. You might have to employ someone. You might need to get permission or extra help putting in water pipes and things like this. So NGOs like SPARC help with that side of things. So what exactly does SPARC do in Dharavi? Well, the first thing they do is they provide loans for improvements to houses. Remember that most or almost all of the people living in Dharavi are on a low income. So they might not be able to afford to pay the upfront cost for improving their houses. If I want to improve my house, I have to pay the joiner to do the work, to put in new doors. If I want an extension putting on, I have to pay the builder. And if I don't have the money to do that, I might go to the bank to get a loan. But it's quite difficult to get a loan if you live in an illegal house. So SPARC provide loans for people who want to improve their houses, and they often provide loans that are quite low in terms of interest, so they're easy to pay back. So those loans can be used to improve the building materials for a house. So I might have had a wooden house and I'm going to upgrade it to brick. So I'm going to build brick walls instead, and that's what's happening here. I might use the money to buy the building materials to build an extra floor on my house. Or if there's a wee bit of space out the back, I might put on an extra room or an extension. I might use the money to install electricity so that my family can have a light at night and my children can do schoolwork. I might decide to build some internal walls. When we were watching Slumming It, we saw that people live and do everything often in the same room, and by installing internal walls, people can have a bit more privacy within my house. SPARC also help organise the construction of toilet blocks. And that's pretty revolutionary in a slum like Dharavi when you've got hundreds of people using the same toilet all the time. Okay. I would like you to pause the video, please, and I would like you to make a note of the work that SPARC do in Dharavi. You can either put this into your own words, you could make a spider diagram, or you could copy these bullet points. SPARC has built over 300 toilet blocks in Mumbai since 2001, benefiting nearly 300,000 people, and that includes building toilet blocks within Dharavi. So what Spark do is they act as advocates for the people of Dharavi, and they persuade the government to give them land legally and access to water and sewage pipes for the toilet block. Spark then help organise the building of the toilet block. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail. The toilet blocks are designed, built and maintained by the local community. They decide how many toilets they want, they decide who's going to build it and suggest local people, and then they run the toilet block once it's built. The toilet block is connected to the main sewer, and it's got a water supply and it's got electricity. So the government built toilet blocks in Dharavi didn't always have this. Now, you want to be connected to the sewer so the waste goes away. You want a water supply so that people can wash their hands and stay sanitary. And you want electricity so that it's safe for people to use these toilet blocks at night. There are separate entrances for men, women and children. This is really important because it means that people can have a safe space when they're going to the toilet, just like in the UK. In Dharavi, people sometimes have to pay to use these toilet blocks. Now, often in the government ones, it's a pay-per-use idea, okay, just like public toilets here, but not everybody can afford that pay-per-use. But the Spark toilet blocks allow families to buy a monthly pass, and it doesn't matter how big their family is, it costs 20 to 25 rupees per house, and everybody in that house can use the toilet as many times as they want. Excellent. And the money that comes from these unlimited passes, which isn't much, is topped up by people who maybe don't live in that area and are just passing by, and they pay per use. So that helps to kind of balance out looking after the locals whilst also making enough money. And the money that is created by these toilet blocks is used to employ a community caretaker. Ooh, what's that? Employing a local to do the work, to look after it, therefore making sure that somebody has enough money to live. Excellent. So all of these result in affordable toilets that everybody can use. They stay well maintained because it's the local people who are benefiting from it. They look after it. They make sure that there are people employed to look after it, and they want to keep it going because they are really benefiting from it. So this is an example of a self-help scheme that improves people's lives by improving sanitation, provides employment, and meets the needs of the local people. Brilliant. Okay, so activity 3. I had given you at the bottom of this slide a list of the features of community-built toilets in Dharavi. I would like you to think about which of these features you think is the best thing about the community-built toilets and which is the least best, okay, or most to least important. And you're going to rank them. Then you are going to explain why you have chosen your top 2 features. Why are they the best things about these toilets? So pause the video and then come back once you've finished the activity. So, as well as non-governmental organisations are kind of charitable groups that are helping in Dharavi, community groups also help. We're going to look at the 2 main ones here. So, the National Slum Dwellers Federation is actually an organisation of community leaders found all over India. And in Dharavi, these community leaders come together and act as a voice for community improvement. So they find out what people in a small area of Dharavi want to do, and then they work together with other leaders from other areas of Dharavi to help organise projects. So again, they act a bit like an advocate for people within Dharavi. They talk to the government, they get things moving, they take people's ideas and they put them into action. We've also got the Mahila Milan, which is a group that when translated means women together. Now this is a self-help women's group, okay? So here, Mahila Milan focuses on helping women to save money and to get loans. And that means that they can help themselves and their communities. Remember that in less developed countries, women don't always have the same rights as men. And in India, lots of women might not have the ability to save because they might not work, they're housewives. So this group offers the opportunity for women to stand on their own 2 feet and make improvements. And together, these 2 community groups support poorer communities in places like Dharavi to improve housing and sanitation, just like Spark do. They help with land rights. So they help support people who the government are saying, I'm going to knock down your house. And they help stop the government turfing people out of their houses and getting them out of their houses so they can have the land. So in Dharavi, these two groups have been very vocal in discussions about the Dharavi redevelopment project and supporting those people who have lived in Dharavi since before 2000 who are going to end up homeless. Okay, activity 4. In a sec, you're going to pause this video and you are going to match up the benefits of self-help schemes with their explanations. For your notes, it would be really good if you could write out the benefit and write out the explanation. And if you want to challenge yourself because you're pushing yourself to get a B or an A at Nat 5, you could write your own explanation or you could add in additional benefits and explain those. So pause the video. We'll get back in a sec. Okay, hopefully you've written out the benefit and the explanation and we're going to check that those are right. So the first one was locals decide what work is done. This matches up with D. So this means that the improvements will actually benefit the locals as it is what they think will be helpful. So a real benefit of self-help schemes is it's actually the locals deciding. Number 2, locals do the work themselves. This matches up with C. This is cheaper and can provide employment. Excellent. We want to employ people within the slum so they can start to improve their lives. Number 3, people in the same area can choose to make different improvements. This matches up with A. This saves money as no improvements are wasted. This is a massive bonus compared to like the Dharavi redevelopment project because each family might have a different idea about what's going to help them. And self-help schemes where people decide what they want to do for their house means that everybody's needs are met. Number 4, financial help is available for people to make improvements. This matches up with B. It makes it possible for everyone to make the improvements. Really helpful when most of the people who want to make improvements are on very low incomes. Okay, activity 5, this is our final activity. So once I've read through the instructions with you, pause the video, complete the activity and then come back. So it says, Ariba is a slum district of poor quality self-built houses on the edge of Mumbai in India. The information in blue describes the conditions in Ariba. Let's have a look. Houses are self-built with cheap scrap or recycled materials. Water is collected from the polluted stream or from the nearest public tap, which is a mile away. At the tap, there are usually queues and sometimes there is no water. There is poor sanitation and open sewers, so disease is common. No houses have toilets and around 500 people use each public toilet. Infant mortality is very high. Lots of babies and young children die. There is no electricity. The roads are not paved and are used as rubbish dumps, and in the monsoon season, when there's loads of rainfall, they turn to mud. Public services like refuse collection, bin lorries, do not come into areas that pay no local taxes. So that's Ariba, because the houses are illegal, so people don't pay taxes there. So what do you need to do? You have been asked to lead a self-help scheme to improve the slum. You need to suggest 5 improvements that you would make. For each improvement, say why it will help. So you might want to refer back to your notes you've taken during the start of the video, and you might want to think about Dharavi and kind of what people might do there. It's quite a similar situation. Once you've completed the activity, play the video and we'll check in to see how we've got on. Okay, so you've now completed several activities about self-help schemes, and hopefully you are now able to describe and explain how self-help schemes improve Dharavi, and you've been able to use this knowledge to suggest improvements for a slum. Well done. Go have a break.